Hello and welcome to another episode of Talk Right Today. So again, here's me, Santosh Sirur, and my friend Mayur Kalbag. We're going to talk on a very different theme today, and it's something which normally one would say HR should get involved, but it need not be, and that's about employee counseling. Uh, well, when you say HR, yes, they must step in when it reaches at a certain stage where it may become a little beyond return, right? But somewhere at the first point of contact and concerns that you see within your teammates, your ones who are reporting into you, somewhere as line managers, one needs to step in and actually start understanding the problem on hand. Okay, and that's what we're going to talk about. So over to you, Mayur.
All right, welcome viewers to Talk Right Today. And this session is different. It's a different topic, a very important topic. Um, Santosh, I'm going to bring in an aspect which is to do more with the attitudinal part, a more generic way of looking at counseling. Today's topic, as I was looking at it, thinking about it, so there are two ways. One is the way which is very professional, where you talk about how counseling is the process of assisting and guiding somebody at a psychological and a behavioral level, and there are professional counselors. With my background, with the blessings as a corporate trainer, and somewhere connected to HR, but in a way where it's more to do with conducting seminars and people development, I have attained or acquired some learnings through my work, which is what I'll share with you. And to begin with, I would say that when an employee comes into the organization, he comes in new, right? Because he doesn't know. He may have made his assumptions, he may have made his studies, understandings, everything. But when he's new, one of the things I've seen is how to get that person aligned to the functioning of that organization, of the department, and also the people. So I think counseling is not only from where I come, is not just helping and guiding at that level, which is psychological, behavioral, which is good. I think even very, at the outset, when a person comes in, helping the person to adapt to a different situation is also very important.
Yeah.
Because the person may come in with his own preconceived notions. So if you don't, as an HR, if you do not give the opportunity to the person to understand what that organization is all about, I think
Correct.
that happening of connect between the
Yeah,
HR and the person is very important. Sirf interviews mein hona is not enough. Even
exactly.
after that, when he comes in
Yeah,
on his first day, and then you start helping him to understand, I think that also matters a lot.
true.
I mean, I'd like to begin the perspective to counseling from the very generic but yet an important point of view.
Absolutely. You're absolutely spot on, Mayur, because once you come in an organization, you also have, you also carry I will not say the word baggage, but somewhat your experiences, of your previous organization. So
Yes.
you got to change that mindset, our culture and their culture kind of mindset. And you remember also that many a times it happens very naturally in organizations. कि बोलते हैं कि, "अरे, उस organization आया है, उसका culture लेके आएगा," typically. Or
Yeah.
and we may say that okay वहाँ का भूल जाओ, अभी हमारा culture try and understand that. So I think it's very important that you kind of build that bridges. One way possibly is a buddy concept, which many organizations have, where if you're coming in my department, then basically you have somebody who will handhold you for the first 1 to 2 months on various issues, not just on the
Mhm.
BAU training, but work training, but on the other issues. So that's one important. But very important, I think, is that when this new employee comes in, and when I say counseling, it is an ongoing counseling on various issues, right? Because it need not be just work related. Yes, you got to draw a line somewhere, but it's very important that you somewhere touch base with with that particular staff or that colleague on various other issues, which may even for a moment step beyond work life. It's very important because, and I can give you examples, in the course of this session, where you understand the person's, the DNA. It really helps you and helps that also that colleague in moving up the whole, the reason why he or she is or has joined. Of course, as I said, you got to draw a line because it also depends on the nature of the person. If the person is too reserved, then it's going to be very difficult to break the ice. But yes, you make an effort, and sometimes it takes months and in fact even years to understand a person. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
these are the key
So
aspects.
Santosh,
Yeah,
Santosh, one thing that I noted down as you were presenting your thoughts. So when we look at, and viewers, please understand this. Counseling is great. Yes, it's a very important step in the process of a person coming in and joining in. But even and the point I took from Santosh, viewers, was that it has to be an ongoing process. It can't just end. It's not a full stop. It's a comma.
yeah.
It's a comma. You
Hmm.
know. But in that, one of the elements of counseling, I felt, Santosh, and please correct me if I'm wrong. One of the elements of counseling process, the two-way counseling. When it's a two-way, it's the person across and the HR is counseling that person. Uh, One of the things I feel a counselor should do is nurture.
Yeah,
Nurturing is important. At the end of the day, if you look at the dictionary meaning of counseling, and like I said a little earlier, it's assisting and guiding a person at a behavioral and a psychological level. Yeah, they're all
yeah,
big words, fine. But for me, the very simple thing is when you engage with someone, help that person to become better. At least that
yeah.
should be the goal.
True.
If a person's performance has dipped,
Yeah,
and another thing where I want you to correct me if I'm wrong as well, Santosh, and viewers could write to me, is counselors need not only be counselors. Even a manager can counsel somebody. For me,
exactly.
counseling is a counselor is a verb more, than a noun.
Yeah.
And in that, when a manager finds that, okay, Mayur Kalbag, my team member, is probably his performance is not really reflecting properly, though his attitude is good, to sit and understand. And if he's finding that there are areas that Mayur Kalbag needs to improve, nurturing, helping
Yes.
the person, nurturing for me is as simple as helping somebody to grow and growing along with that person.
Yeah.
Nurturing a plant to grow. So काउंसलिंग का एक कीवर्ड जो खुद को मैंने लिया है मेरे लिए and I practice it is help that person to become better. And in
Hmm.
the process, if you're counseling, listening, speaking, making the person feel comfortable to open up is also very important.
Yeah.
So two things I would say that I always look at counseling as is nurture someone to become better, and let the person open up to you.
Yeah.
Let him come out of his comfort zone. I mean, these
Correct.
are the nuances of, I think, counseling.
No, I agree with you. Counseling is exactly as you said. It's right. It's just a verb. But every line manager, everyone in the organization who is reporting to someone, needs to be quote unquote counselor, as in help the person to work
Yeah,
on their shortfalls or whatever that they are lacking, and they got to come
yeah,
up to a certain level. Take an example. I mean, resignations, right? I mean. Uh, it's a very sensitive issue, but when a person steps in and comes and tells you, either he sends an email or a letter or
mm,
verbally maybe and says resigned or resigning, it doesn't mean as you as your line manager needs to directly go and hit that point and say, oh, don't withdraw it, or what's happening, can I do something? No, no, not at all. You should first approach the issue, get to the core of the issue, even without even using the word resignation. Okay, understand what is the problem. Okay, yes, most of the time, typically we all know it could be a 30% increment, 40%, but there can be an underlying factor, something that's gone wrong. And as a line manager, it's very important because you try to fix that issue. Even the person may leave eventually after the notice period, serving the notice period, but there may be
yep,
some underlying hardcore issues which one needs to fix. So it's very important to use that opportunity for the person to speak to, and that's very important. So
very true.
understand that person. Maybe it goes, as I said in the initial comments, it may even go beyond the professional life. It could be even his personal space. So it all depends on your rapport. Get to understand, that's very important. Try to understand. In fact, many a times if you get into that space and really build a very good rapport with the person, you may actually be able to convince that person, because the organization is organization, but you end of the day represent that organization, and you're able to convince that person. That person feels, oh wow, it's not just the money that's important, but then the working relationship that's important. Because many organizations, right, it's not about the work pressure. Everybody on earth has work pressure, but how you deal with the psychological pressure is very key. And if you have organization, and if you have people in organization who can support this, and you come happy to work every day, every morning, then it can make a lot of difference, huge difference.
Absolutely. Santosh, I want to say this that one of the key takeaways or a key important point in counseling is doing the root cause analysis, or what
Yeah,
we call as the RCA. You brought
yeah,
that up in while you were speaking right
yeah,
now. I'm just giving it a nomenclature: root
yeah,
cause analysis. I think as a counselor, you should be able to, with communication, go to the root cause for the
Why
person
that issue?
probably,
Yeah, yeah.
why is a person behaving da 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 da, go to the root of it.
Mm.
And in that I want to bring in an aspect which is probably prevailing at the moment more than before, is stress. And
Yeah,
I have seen that a person who wants to leave a job many of the times probably is not, it's not to do so much with the fact that he doesn't love the job. Maybe the person is going through some stress which is affecting his performance, and he's getting frustrated. In the meantime, he gets an offer somewhere else.
yeah,
He's confused,
yeah.
and then in that confusion he makes a decision. That's one of the situations where counseling is required.
Yeah, in fact,
and
that
and and
turns out to be the trigger, it's a catalyst. The issues could be very underlying, it could be ongoing, but
yeah,
something that triggers a new, maybe a new job or something that he
yeah,
gets on
yeah,
hand,
yeah,
just triggers the whole thing, and he wants or she wants, because the same situation or worse situation he could or she could face in the new organization, for all you know.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
very important that you really touch base with the client, understand the colleague, and understand the issues on hand, and try and convince. And it's not a overnight process. Very
Yeah,
important.
yeah,
It's not
absolutely.
those, it's not about sending a 2 hour meeting invite and you feel end of the 2 hours, oh, I've won. No, it can be ongoing. It's a long winding process. Sometimes it depends on how fast you should be able to convince, I think.
But in this, Santosh, in this, counselors, shouldn't they be also passionate about that process? I've seen
Yes.
many HR who are
Yeah.
not passionate.
Okay. So that's
They're
why
not interested as such.
okay.
Root cause analysis बहुत दूर की बात है उनके लिए. It's this that
So
it's more of a formality counseling session,
exactly. So
like an exit interview.
you're actually spot on. So that's why I was saying it need not go to the HR, because sometimes HR for you, for the HR, you're a product. I am blunt. You're a product. Okay, I'm trying to convince to buy the product. If it doesn't, it doesn't work. So it's the department from the business or
Yeah,
wherever that cost center is, and the person who want that person to be retained, it's his
absolutely.
business to ensure. And that's where I'm saying HR ki dur ki baat, if it's a real beyond repair kind of a case, and if it's an issue where you feel it's something to do with professionalism in the organization and it's going to hit the core DNA of the organization, then take it to HR. But then
Yes,
HR again is HR. So I don't want to be
that's a
critical on HR. What I'm saying is they also have the limitations, because they are, it's a human resources department, yes, but they may not know your day-to-day BAU activities and
exactly,
issues. So they will do their checklist tick box. They've done this, follow up, whatever, and that's about it. So I think
exactly.
don't go to, they may be at most, I would call it a damage containment measure, but don't go up to that level, I would say.
True. To all our HR viewers, this is nothing to do with you guys as such. It's basically
Exactly.
it's a message not to the HR as much as to the managers, that the HR role is an integral part of a managerial role. Is the
Yeah,
learning I get from what Santosh is saying, viewers,
yeah,
and HR comes as the last aspect, which
absolutely.
is why the exit interviews all happen. But before that, मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ, viewers, if you have a team and कोई परफॉर्म अच्छा नहीं कर रहा है, जो कुछ है,
Hmm.
don't wait for HR to come and
Yeah,
play a role. Yeah, you got
yeah.
to take the initiative and understand. And usme Santosh, you brought a good point, which is rapport building. I
Hmm.
think for an HR, ऐसे नहीं कि आपको counselor बनना है, but the aspects of counseling should be part of your managerial skills.
Yeah.
If somebody says, are you a manager or a counselor, you should say, I'm a manager, but I have the counseling skills within me. Okay, so I build a rapport. And जैसे आपने कहा संतोष, rapport पहले से build होगा तो काफी सारा counseling का भी जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगा.
Exactly.
You will be already at a point or at a level where the person is out of his comfort zone to talk to you. And
Yeah.
ऐसे काफी managers मैंने देखे हैं who have had people come to him or her and talk about personal aspects, because
Yeah.
that is probably which is making them look at other aspects. And job दूसरा ढूंढो, pressure है, घर का है. They talk to their boss. See, whether it leads to finally something good or maybe the person leaves is something that it's a
Yeah.
decision later on.
Exactly.
But I think, like you said, the HR within the manager is very important. And
True.
how he counsels, the manager counsels,
Yeah.
is what I think will make a very important
Yeah.
difference
And,
to
and
the
you know,
decision made by the
one
employee.
very important point, as you said, right? The HR is that line manager in whatever role he is, in business, in
Yeah,
operations or finance or whatever, because you need to give proper time for this. It's not something that 6 baje
Yeah,
ke baad dekh lenge types, or
absolutely. Good point.
let's come early in the morning and try and finish it off before the work starts, or maybe
मतलब
we can
लास्ट
catch
का
up.
ऐसे.
Yeah,
हाँ.
yeah, or we can catch up in a cafe and work. No, it's not that. It's a lot beyond. You need to really somewhere, if you feel that candidate is someone who is extremely, from a human capital perspective, very important to you, then you need to invest in this. You got to invest
No,
time in this, you know?
viewers, please, I request, especially those who are, in working in the capacity as leaders, at whatever level, maybe general manager, team leader, or for those who want to aspire to be leaders. I think Santosh, जो point आपने कहा, is so important. Make this part of skills of understanding your employees, helping them to be better, counseling them, make that also a very integral part of, or enjoin it with the other skills that you want to develop.
Yeah.
But a leader should be very robust, confident, innovative, decision maker, and a good counselor. I think that's a very, very fundamental point, which especially our professionals, I hope you will think about.
Yeah, yeah. Lastly, I would like to give an example which personally I came across in my own career. And I think it's very important because sometimes you know got to draw a line between that professional and that personal, right? And I had a
Mm.
situation where someone who used to work with me, when I quit and I announced that I'm going to resign, was very upset, terribly upset. Okay, and didn't express though. The next thing that happened is that this person didn't turn up to work next day. So which I thought was very natural because it would be a sick leave or a casual leave or whatever, right? But we found out that this person was so dejected that he was really, couldn't even think of coming to office
Oh
from
my
that day.
God.
So actually, I mean, in hindsight, I think of it as in a very different way. Like I always think, shouldn't I be doing that? I should be not willing to come to office. But anyway, what I realized, and it's a very important key lesson is you got
Mm.
to in your professional life have a good rapport, yes, friendship, or but you got to draw lines somewhere, not to such an extent that your colleagues, yes, but you can't turn out to be friends because then you become too reliant on that person. And it happens in many organizations, and it
Yes,
went to some
yes.
extent, and then it really needed a lot of convincing and discussions and counseling, where we had to really step in massively in this. I had to personally step in because as days progressed, was my notice period was about a month, and the organization is has to carry on, right? And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
thankfully it worked in the right positive way. But I think it's important that you have to be very careful, and that thin line has to be very careful, be drawn very well and understood.
No, it's so true. It's so true. Sometimes among the colleagues, somebody gets promoted as a team leader, and then suddenly those people with whom he was working as a team
Yeah,
member, they become the subordinates. Now,
yeah,
this is not something that he would have liked, but when you play a role as a senior, I think that's a very tough but a very much required mature
yeah,
aspect of a person, isn't it?
yeah.
And I think sometimes even these people at that level, they need a little counseling as well, Santosh.
True. Yeah,
Because sometimes ना इन लोग को पता नहीं चलता कि अभी इनके साथ डील कैसे करें.
yeah, exactly,
Because there are some who will not purposely cooperate because यार तू अभी attitude दिखा रहा है. Actually
exactly.
attitude नहीं दिखा रहा है, attitude normally है, लेकिन आप ऐसे सोच रहे हो.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I think sometimes both at different levels need to be counseled. I
Agreed,
think this was
agreed.
a very, very exciting session for me. I learned
Yeah,
some good things from you, Santosh. I'm sure the viewers also must have picked up some good points.
sure.
Even if they pick up, viewers, if you pick up 2, 3 good points and think about it and absorb it and slow and steadily implement it, I think it'll be great. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
doing the same. And thanks, Santosh, for your points as well.
Yep. Thanks, Mayur. And I'm sure listeners, you enjoyed this. Please do write in your emails on the same email ID, which is talkrighttoday@gmail.com. Talkrighttoday@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you and your feedback.
And also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Talk Right Today, which is on YouTube. There are many other videos which are there. Please enjoy. छोटे-छोटे videos है, आपको bore नहीं होगा. You'll in fact learn a lot. And do share your views once you see the videos. Thank you very much
Absolutely.
from my side as well.
Thank you so much for joining. Bye-bye.